there. Welcome back to the Complicated Kids podcast. I'm your host, Gabrielle Nicolay. I am a toddler whisperer, a speech therapist, and a parent coach. And today I have Elyse Dworin back with me. Elyse, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome back, I should say.
Nice.
Tell the good people, in case they did not listen to the first episode we recorded, tell them a bit about yourself and the work you do.
Sure. So my background is special ed. I have 2 degrees in special education. My passion is wellness. And so I've combined those two together. And I am a holistic academic support coach. So basically, I work to help children understand how they learn, what strategies work for them and why, how their brains work, what they can do to help their bodies and brains function at their best. We do a lot of mind-body connection. We work on mindfulness. And so I work directly both with students and I do parent coaching, and I teach parents how to also tune into these things. And I do some professional development, but very mind-body focused, academic, loving support.
And part of, I love it. And we're going to go, right before we hit record, I said, we're going to go kind of broad and not so much deep today, because we did go deep in our first episode that we recorded on the MTHFR gene, which is like kind of one, I was going to say silo, but it's not a silo, one aspect.
One aspect.
One facet.
Something to look at and be aware of. And yeah.
And so today let's talk about kind of other neurobiological, physiological, emotional, temporal, like let's go into the things when you are, and maybe we can start with when you're thinking about working with a family. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you're wondering about? What are some of the questions that you want answered as you begin to work with a family?
Mm-hmm. I always start looking at the struggles and the common behaviors. So, which skills is the child struggling with, and both academic, social, right, organization, all of the skills. I really look at the whole shebang. And then what are the behaviors that we're seeing, right? Are they avoiding? Are they lashing out? Are they rushing through their work, right? So we look through those pieces together. And then a lot of the questions that come after that come organically through the conversation, right? So as the parents share, I come up with other questions, and really, I wouldn't say I have like a template, because I feel like, excuse me, each family and each child, they're so individual, right? And so I really just kind of let the conversation go where it goes, and that guides my questioning.
Okay. When you say you're looking at social and attention and academic, why are we doing that? When parents are calling you, the reason they think they're calling you is because their kid got kicked out of school, or their child is not doing their homework, or like something has happened, presumably, or there's a behavior that's happening at home that's really hard to deal with. Right. Why would we go and look at all this other stuff when the problem is behavior?
That's a great question. Behavior is a symptom. It's communication, right? So if a child is not doing their homework, right, that's a common one, right? Mm-hmm. Is it because the homework is too hard? Mm-hmm. Is it because they don't know how to break down the assignments and the tasks, and they're just simply overwhelmed and they don't know how to begin? Is it that they're having some negative social experience at school and they're trying to disconnect from that experience when they get home? Is it that they're putting so much energy into performing at school that when they get home, they are just done? Is it the relationship with the parents that they need help, but they don't want to ask their parents for help because there is a lack of comfort or trust there? I mean, there are so many reasons that a single behavior can happen, right? And so it's the why that really matters, right? I mean, I've always, even before I started teaching, I was always that kid in school that was like, why? Like I was the obnoxious kid in class. The teachers were like, oh my God. And I lost you there for a second.
My video blinked off when I meant to mute. Anyway, go ahead.
And then that carried over into my professional approach in the classroom. It was always, well, why are you having trouble with this? Why are you not getting this concept? Why are you struggling to pay attention right now in class? So it was always the why. And then that again carried over into what I do with my academic coaching and parent coaching.
I want to pause here for just a second, because this is something that if you're listening to this podcast and you're a caregiver or a parent or a teacher or any kind of special educator or any kind of educator at all, making this transformation, making this shift from this shouldn't be happening to why is this happening?
Yes.
Right? Like that's something you can do right now. And I just wanted to point it out because it's such it makes it so much more interesting, number one, so much less stressful for everybody, number two. And I could almost hear the kids on the other side of this why question as you're asking it, even just to yourself, because obviously we're not quizzing a 7-year-old about like, well, why aren't you doing your homework? We're going to need to observe. We're going to need to take some data in other ways, perhaps. And maybe we've got a 7-year-old who can answer that question. But just the relief that somebody is taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And not thinking you're a bad kid.
Well, and not just that, as a parent, that mental shift from, oh my God, my child is driving me crazy and being so difficult, to why is this going on? Let's figure out the cause of this. It shifts your brain from almost like victimhood to partner.
Yeah.
Right. And it makes all of the behaviors much easier to handle because you understand that there's a reason. And if you can get to the reason, right, then there is an out. Where if you're just focused on the behaviors and how they're making you feel, which, let's be honest, I mean, how often does your child lash out and sets off your own fight or flight, right? And then you're responding to their response, and then it's just right. And so it allows us, putting ourselves in that problem solving mode allows us to step out of our fight or flight and handle the situation with a much more logical brain.
Yep. Yeah. And then you have access to your problem solving and your decision making and your calm and all of that, all of the stuff that makes you right.
And to your point, some kids can, maybe not right away, but some kids can tell you why. They can kind of look at it and figure it out, or at least tease it out and talk to you about it. And then you have kids like my 10-year-old, I don't feel well can mean I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm in a bad mood, I'm upset about something. All of those become my body hurts, I don't feel well, because she is so sensitive. And so for her, teasing out this body hurt compared to that body hurt and the reason behind it is really, really hard. And it takes, with her, sometimes I have to, okay, let's have some water. Let's have a snack. Let's take a breath, right? I go through literally all of the steps. And sometimes I've got to calm her down and hug her first, and right. But I've got to get her to the point where she's feeling more equilibrium before she can even start to think through things or hash things out or whatever.
Well, and this is a really interesting sort of point to make here too, which is what you're talking about a little bit. What you're touching on is kind of interoception, right? Which is this internal awareness of one's own state. So pain, hunger, toileting, all of those internal heart rate, temperature, internal signals that, number one, are really hard to figure out from the outside because the person experiencing them is the only person experiencing them.
Right.
And we know that in complicated kids, one of the things that's complicated is their relationship to these signals. Their bodies are often giving them, in air quotes, bad information.
Well, they're disconnected from their bodies.
And they're disconnected from their bodies. Yeah. And so one of the things you didn't mention just now on the list of like, okay, it might be hunger, it might be thirst, we might need to go to the bathroom, or we might need to go to the hospital. Right? Like it can be both. And I don't say that to freak anybody out, but I do say it to sort of bring to the surface, like physical discomfort and pain and illness sometimes are causing behaviors to happen.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Absolutely. And I mean, you know, this kid runs a fever with a cold. Yep. Right. So when this all started, when she was verbal and she was telling me, my body hurts, my body hurts, my body hurts. If she was running a fever, I used to freak out. And eventually I learned, okay, she has a cold. This is not big, right? And then the fever was a telltale sign of whether she's actually sick or there's something else. Right. I mean, so you get to know your kid the more you ask the questions. But yeah, I mean, very often, especially with children who are super sensitive or had ADHD, they are disconnected from their bodies. And so being able to tune into their bodies is really tough. And so I find, you know, grounding exercises, if your child is in a mental state where they can do it regularly, but especially when they're feeling stressed or anxious, grounding exercises where they are pointedly tuning into their body, right? And they're sitting down and you ask them to tune into the feeling of their feet in their shoes, their feeling of their bottom on the chair, their feeling of the clothing on their body. And it grounds them back in the now. Now, if you have a kid who is like very tactile sensitive, that could actually go the other way, right? Because there's too many feelings and it's scratchy and it's uncomfortable. And for those kids, sometimes a tight hug helps to bring them back and overpowers all those other crazy sensations, or like, right, a cocoon swing, things like that. Something that's a tight embrace that overpowers the itchy fussiness of clothing.
What I hear you saying, Elyse, is that it's really important to deal with diagnoses and symptoms and behavioral kinds of indicators. And you said this outright, behavior is a symptom. And that part of the treatment is not the word I want, but part of the helping is to directly connect and explicitly connect humans, kids and parents, with their bodies. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the ways we do this is grounding. What are some other, like, what else?
A lot of children have trouble understanding the difference between, right, if their response is anger, right, that anger could be fear, it could be overwhelm, it could be, right? And so once you are able to help your child tune in, right, because the name it to tame it is a big one, right? If you help the child name, okay, you're feeling this anger or this fear because this assignment is huge and it's so much and you don't think you can do it. That feeling is overwhelm, right? You are feeling overwhelmed. That usually brings a kid from here to here.
Mm-hmm. Decreases the amped upness of that.
Yes.
Yep.
And then you're right, we're on
Yeah.
any of the visuals or the verbal. And then once the child can calm down a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
then you can say, okay, so where did you feel that? What did that feel like? Were your hands in fists? Was your face scrunched up? Was your heart beating fast? Was your head hurting? What part of your body felt different or yucky? And what did it feel like? So that we can identify this feeling and we know not only now we know something that brings on this feeling, but we can also recognize my hands are starting to clench. I'm starting to breathe fast. I'm uncomfortable. I need to pause and figure out what's happening that's making me feel this way.
So this is a skill that, particularly in the area in which we live, but in the US, in the Western world generally, this is not a skill that is very commonly taught. It's not a skill. I mean, I've had many parents in my practice who cannot answer that question at first.
Yeah.
Like, it takes some work and some experimentation, because we are used to thinking that our bodies are just kind of coming along for the ride with our heads. Like that somehow what's happening below the neck doesn't matter. And yeah, we want to keep the machine like well oiled and fit enough, but only because we need it to carry around our brain. Like,
yeah.
What's your, like, how do you think about that? How do you think about the mind body connection? And then anyway, yeah, keep going.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that requires effort for sure. Even, I mean, this is what I do, and I recently had an experience where my stress levels were so high that I was experiencing the stress in my body in a way I had never experienced before, and I thought I was having a medical issue. And it wasn't until I went to the hospital and I got checked out and they're like, "You're fine." And then I had to take a step back and realize, "Oh, wait, my body is manifesting stress in this new way. And now I know how to treat it. And now I know, but this is what there was definitely a moment there of shame, maybe, because I was like, this is what I do for a living. How did I not see this? But I was so, neck deep in everything that was going on that I wasn't checking in with my body. So it's something that really, it takes effort. It takes practice. And even those of us who are well versed in it still have to make a pointed effort to tune in and check in and pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I find it, I mean, this, again, we could go on for days about like just even that aspect of things, because it is so interesting how and I'll just stick with the adults, like we try to think ourselves out of physical stress, and that's not possible. We can submerge it for a little while. I often talk to my clients about, the emotional beach ball. You can suppress emotions for some amount of time, and then they're going to start to back up on you, and something's going to erupt. The beach ball is going to fly out of the water, and it's going to be very unpleasant and very unexpected.
Yeah, and that's a great analogy, right? And that's often what we see when people stuff their feelings down, right? Then they snap, they blow up.
Yeah.
And or they start manifesting physical, right? I mean, you can literally get cancer from stress.
Yep.
So, I mean, the importance of when you are working with a child of any age, really helping them understand to tune into their bodies, to to also pay attention. What are you eating? Are you sleeping? Are you happy with your social interactions? Do you feel supported? Do you have human connection? Which I think a lot of, especially now with how everything's virtual and how kids are always texting, and a lot of kids are happy just staying at home and texting or talking through video games. There's something to be said for like actual human presence, right? There's a share of energy. There's a, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
all of these things matter, and they all affect how well somebody functions.
I'm really glad that you mentioned sleep, diet. I don't know if you said this, I don't remember. Outdoor activity.
I didn't mention that one, but that one for sure. Exercise is so important.
It's so, and even just, I mean, yes, moving your physical body, but also being outdoors.
Being outdoors.
Right? Like both of those things as combined or separate.
That you can regulate your nervous system. I kid you not. Find a tree, take off your shoes, stand in the grass next to the tree and hug the tree. And it sounds so hippy dippy, but trees have this like flow of electrical energy, and the roots are interconnected to the ground. And when you stand on the ground and you hug a tree, that energy starts moving through your body, which also transmits electrical energy. And it can actually regulate your nervous system.
I love that so much. And we could go into like the chemical and the electromagnetic explanation for that. And people should go read a paper or two on how that works, because we are full of electrons and liquid and magnets. And to plug into something that's larger than us and anchored more deeply into the earth than us, that's kind of how it works, as is my layperson's understanding of it. But same thing with music.
Yes.
Music acts, sound waves act upon our bodies. That is at least partially why, if you listen to a song that you really like or a song with a certain kind of beat, you will feel better. You can change your state of mind, of being. You can change your neurochemistry from listening to music.
Yes.
And
tone of the music also. So there's every aspect of music has an effect on our bodies. Whether it's the tone, the beat, the lyrics, there's another aspect. The actual like combination of notes, they affect how things flow in your system.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's another thing I work with kids on all the time, like especially if you have a child who's struggling to focus, right? They're becoming internally distracted. It's because their brain is seeking out stimulation. So if you provide them with other types of stimulation, and it could be a vibrating chair, music, things like that, right? That can help, but it has to be the right one. It has to be the right one for their body. It has to be the right one for the situation, right? So lyrics versus instrumental, calming versus upbeat. And I read something recently. I'm going to use the wrong. What's measured in hertz?
Sound.
But which aspect of the sound is
measured? Oh, no, it's the sound wave.
Sound waves. Okay. So I read something recently that said that within the last, I think it was 20 years, the level of sound waves, or the types of sound waves that are being used in the music has changed. I think when we went to maybe HD or something like that, and it actually has a harsher effect on our brain chemistry than what it used to be. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, these are all, again, and that's a whole rabbit hole of other proportions.
Oh, there's so much.
There's so much. In terms of, we're going to wrap it up here in a second, but
you got this.
Yeah, right. I'm going to edit out this part. in terms of understanding kind of brain body connection, I think you've made just a really elegant case here for why it's so important to, for example, find whether it's music or a vibrating chair that's going to be effective for this child.
Yes.
And
yes,
so
everyone's different.
Because everyone's different, and you can't just say like, oh, just whatever, put headphones on, oh, just sit in a rocking chair, sit on this, sit on that. These things are really specific to individual people.
Right.
And there's a menu, but
right. Which is why it's really important that when you give someone a strategy, you then revisit it and say, how is this working for you? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? What is that? You really have to work with a child to analyze any strategy that you put in place for them, because something it's not either works or doesn't work. Sometimes some aspect of it may work and some aspect may not work. And then you've got to find that middle ground.
Yeah. Yeah. Elyse, if people want to find more out about you, what do they do? And I want you to tell me about your Whole Child Collective as well, please.
I'd love to, sure. So you can follow me on my socials, and more information about me and what I do is always on my website. The Whole Child Collective is an amazing collaboration that we've just launched with Perry Educational Consultants. Sherry Perry is an amazing consultant. I love working with her. And we both have a very holistic approach. And so we offer a whole child audit meant for families who feel like they've just tried everything under the sun and something is not working, things are not clicking, and they don't know what else to do. They don't know where else to go. And so they can come to us and we will gather all of the data, school, home, social, everything. And then we write up an audit report that breaks down what's working, what's not being addressed and needs to be addressed. And we provide our recommendations for how to do that. We provide referrals. And then that could be the end product. That's the audit. And people can choose to end there and then take it and go on their merry way and do with it what they want. Then the other option is, or secondary option is to take it further, where we can then provide some of those services, because between the two of us, we offer direct student support, parent coaching, home systems, advocacy. We will even go as far as helping you communicate with any providers, looking into who offers what you need and takes your insurance and has availability to help do that legwork for you and take that off your plate. So we're really looking to support the whole family. We look at school, things that are going on outside of school, outside the home, within the home. We look at the whole picture because it's really important that parents understand how all of those things come together to lead to success.
It's so important. And I think collecting all of those disparate threads is something that is not available in very many places. So I'm really happy that you're making that available.
Thank you.
And we will link to all of that in the show notes. Elyse, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to see you.